Hi guys, Hussein from laptoprepair.sydney again. Today we are doing a video guide on repair on a MacBook Air A1369 slash A1466, the 13-inch, not the current model, the one before that. So first things first, take off the base or the cover, unplug the battery, and press the power button for about 20 seconds just to release any power still within the motherboard. Second thing, we have this tool that we basically sourced. I think it's used for painting or something, but it's very good to do the MacBook Air bezel to get it between the bezel and the back cover, and you just slide it. Usually if you heat the bezel, it'll be easier to do, but the technician here, TB, didn't want to do that, or he doesn't usually do that, so he thinks it's better if he does it this way. So you're going to be careful up there. There's a camera cable running behind the bezel. Again, you just slide it all the way. Be careful with your hands. This tool is a bit sharp, so you need to, as you can see, we put some paper tape and stuff around it so it doesn't mark on your hand or injure you while you're doing it. Now you will need to flip the laptop a couple of times to be able to do all sides. The second tool that we use is a spudger. All these tools can be purchased at laptoplcdscreen.com.au. I'll put a link in the comments. As you can see here, it has the, you gotta be very careful there. So you're gonna push hard, but you want to make sure that you're ready to stop when you go through the adhesive. So it's very easy to injure yourself with this very nasty adhesive that Apple uses. So the bezel is off. So next we want to clean the back cover from all the adhesive. That's the leftover adhesive. It has to be 100% clean, just to make sure that all the new adhesive can stick properly. Another spudger, just a flat spudger. Use it to clean the back cover. So next there is a sticky tape that holds the screen board and the cable, the backlight cable behind it. So very gently undo this sticky tape and then cut it at the end, cut the excess of it. Two black screws that hold the LCD board under these. Now unlock the LCD cable, which is behind on the back of the board, and it's got a little lock, so you need to unlock it and then slide it out very gently. Now let me just mention, any mistake within this repair will end up costing you a brand new display assembly. So now there is black sticky tape on the screws, on the white screws. Just take them off. the screws. Just strip the board. You know, it's very tiny cables that hold it in place, very thin cables. Next thing we want to achieve is to remove the LCD from the back cover, and it's stuck with adhesive. The adhesive used is not as strong as the ones used on the back cover. So get your heat gun, hold the screen from the bottom and heat on the sides. Now the right side is stuck more than the left side because the adhesive is a bit wider. So as you pull the screen, not too much. You want to try not to break the screen, because if you break the screen, then you're going to end up with all these tiny bits of glass stuck to the back cover, and you're going to have to clean them, and it's really daunting task to do that. So you want to be pushing the screen off just a tiny bit, and as it peels you push a little bit more and a little bit more until you do the sides. Once you do the sides, then you do the top. You will very likely end up with, unless you master this repair, you will end up with a bit of leftover glass on the corners, at least the top corners. Now this, don't throw the screen yet. There is a bit of a frame that we need that usually sits on top of the back cover, and it sort of distributes the light evenly. This film that the tech is referring to, that you can see on the back of the screen, it's the diffuser film. That is very sensitive. If you scratch it, if anything marks on it, then you're gonna have to either replace it or get a brand new display, because whatever happens to this, it will reflect on the screen. Clean any leftover glass around the back cover. See how it's even dust, even if you end up with a little bit of dust left over on that film or behind that film, you will see a mark on the screen once you install it. Now, as you can see, the tech removed the film because he couldn't just keep it in place. It just, for some reason, it fell out of place. Now, putting this film back in its place, we're going to have to use some adhesive double-sided tape just to hold it on the corners so it stays in place. Even if that adhesive goes a bit under the screen, you can see it through the screen. It's like a see-through screen, pretty much. So he's trying to put the diffuser film, and it's not happening. So here he is using some double-sided tape, just a tiny bit, you know, probably just like 2 or 3 mils or something like that. You just want to hold it like as little as possible. More leftover glass on the sides. Also, the adhesive on the sides under the screen, you want to make sure that it's not crowded in one place, like it's still flat. If you see any place where the adhesive is not flat, you're gonna have to take that off, put new adhesive in. Tesa tape is a very good adhesive to use in this scenario. You can buy it at laptopLCDscreen.com.au. Now the laptop is ready to go. I told you before not to throw away the screen yet. See that little frame at the bottom of the screen? You want that. If you don't install that, then you're going to end up with the light, like you can see multiple lights coming out from the bottom of the screen. When you install that, that's the backlight where the technician is showing you now. When you install that frame, then it sort of distributes the light evenly, and you don't notice there's anything down there. Heat it up really well. Use a spudger or anything similar. Once you heat it up well, I mean, there's nothing to damage here, so you can heat as much as you want. Once you're done, you take it off, clean it up, new adhesive. I'd like to talk a little bit about this repair. Unless you're really experienced, do not attempt it the first time on a customer's laptop. Try to get a laptop to test on if possible. It is quite daunting, and I strongly doubt that any end user will be able to do the repair. So it's experienced technician only, pretty much. Put the frame back onto the backlight, screw it back in place. As you notice, the adhesive is facing outwards, so when you put the new screen in, it will sort of stick to the adhesive, and that frame is stuck to the screen. A bit more cleaning of the film, diffuser film. Now here's the screen. As you can see, as you put the screen on the keyboard, the connectors are facing downwards. So see where the connector is as he flipped it. So the cable is very short, so it just fits into the connector. You want to get it right as soon as you can and not damage the cable. Also, the backlight cable is also that's the backlight cable. It's also very short, and it just fits in. There's a lock in there, so you need to unlock it when you take it off, and then lock it back when you put the new cable or put the new screen. Alright, that's all done. Got a couple of screws, a couple of tiny black screws that go onto the screen board. Now, at this stage, you don't want to stick the screen to the back cover, you just want to test it. You want to make sure when you turn the screen on, there's nothing, no marks or dust or anything on the diffuser film. There is, on this screen, there is protective film on both sides, back and front, and it's the last thing that you want to do. So just before you stick the screen onto the back cover, that's when you want to remove the film, so you don't leave any dust behind. So we turn it on now. Waiting game, there you go, backlight's on. More dust to clean, and there you go. You can see the data on the screen, and the backlight makes it shine. More cleaning. Now you want to take the film off. Careful of those cables that the tech pointed. You don't want to damage those. Any damage to those cables, the screen won't work. There is markers on the corners and on the screen, like tiny little holes on the back cover and some sort of like a little dot on the screen. You want to make sure that that's all that's aligned properly, and you want to make sure there's not even a tiny bit of leftover glass on the back cover. Even the tiniest bit will break your screen once you push it through. So now we take the front cover off. You do want to do that at this stage. Once you put the bezel in, it comes very hard to take it off. You're most likely, if you want to take the bezel off again, you'll most likely damage the screen. So up to this stage, we're all good to go. Next step, another daunting task, clean up the bezel from all the leftover adhesive. Make sure there is nothing left on the bezel, because anything left, that means that you have less double-sided on one side, on the bezel side, and there's a chance that it's going to peel off. Now, new adhesive goes in at the bottom. We usually put two side by side, one I think 4 mil and one 2 mil. Now, when putting the bezel back in place, start by putting the bottom two corners first. You gotta be careful that you have adhesive all over the bezel. You have adhesive on the top, bottom, and if you stick it wrong, peeling it off is gonna be a problem. So what you want to do is you want to start with the bottom two corners, make sure they're in place, and then you stick the top two corners. Now, if you have any of the corners damaged, you want to start with that damaged corner, even if it's at the top. So if it's bent a little bit, the bezel goes in first, and then the rest will be easier. If you have two damaged ones, start with the two damaged ones together first. So the bezel is on. Another test of the screen just to make sure everything works fine. Almost ended. This job will take a good 45 minutes for a professional technician. It will take probably, if possible at all, will probably take an end user who's very careful a few hours to do. So just the back cover back on, and screw it on, and all good. If you want to buy any tools or the screen, please head to laptoplcdscreen.com.au. I will have those links in the comments. Thank you very much for watching.